Welcome, everyone, back to a brand new edition of Getting Color right here on the Big Vito brand. And I am Virtue. Let me correct that, thebigvitobrand.com. And I am Virtue, being joined by the man himself, Big Vito, the Big Vito brand. What's up, man?
How's everybody doing out there? I just want to say to all the ladies, all my friends who are moms, single moms, grandmoms, all the ladies who are doing it day in, day out, happy Mother's Day to you. I hope you had a fabulous day. I hope whoever was special in your life treated you like a queen today. And right now, after all the festivities are done, we are taping Getting Color. Virtue, why don't you lead us off and get right to the dirt?
Dude, we're going to start like we always do, outside of the bubble of professional wrestling. How about the UFC? I think it was 249. Does that sound right?
Yes, it was 249.
Held in an empty arena. Guys getting beat up. And one match in particular ended by referee stoppage. Dominic Cruz, who since has claimed, he said the referee smelled like cigarettes and booze. Wow. Now, is this an attention getter, Vito? What do you think is going on with this? I've never, ever heard of this, ever.
It probably does happen. I'm not accusing anybody. It's Getting Color. We're giving our journalistic and professional views on things. It probably does happen. But in a fight like this with Dominic Cruz, one of the top fighters in the world, and it was an early stoppage. I thought it was an early stoppage because usually you get rocked. You know, you can still fight out of it. It gives you, if you go down in a clinch or you grab onto a hold or you do something, I thought it was an early stoppage, and I thought he got robbed. Now, granted, he made a good point last night, and he said all the referees should be tested just like the fighters. He is 100% on point with that because if they're going to be in the ring with you, why should they not be coherent and follow the same rules as the fighters if they take the responsibility of the health and well-being of fighters? And if they're going to be drunk and smell of cigarettes and whatever else is going on, why shouldn't they be tested and they should be trusted? I think that's vital. And the other fight I'm kind of mad about, I don't know if you watched the prelims, but Cerrone Pettis, okay? Donald Cerrone took down Pettis twice, hit him with leg kicks, and he pretty much had the fight. And I don't know what the judges were watching, but they gave a unanimous decision to Pettis, where if you see Pettis' action, I want you people to go back and watch Pettis and Cerrone and watch this. He was shocked he won the fight, let alone a unanimous decision.
Dude, I never understood those in any of those type of fighting competitions in boxing by decisions. Like, I would not want to be one of those. I understand they're looking for things in the fight or the bout to get points, right? But God, what happens in this situation when something doesn't seem right and it seems fishy? Like, I don't know.
It did not seem right. And let me tell you something. Donald Cerrone, like everybody knows, he just fought McGregor. He lost. He fought another two top guys in his weight class, and he lost. And Pettis is another time. He lost 4 fights to 4 of the top fighters in the world. This one particular fight, he was the aggressor. He had the takedowns. He had the aggression, and he lost on a unanimous decision. This should be a rematch. There should be an investigation. That was the most wrongful fight ending I've seen. But the Victor Cruz thing with the referee, that man is 100% right. And I hope Dana White is watching. Test your referees.
That's a good point. I won't argue with you. You know what? It just brought me up to this. When George Foreman made a comeback in boxing, when he was older, was he in his 40s or 50s when he was boxing? We know he ended up doing his grill and his infomercials. But he boxed later in life, didn't he? Was it in the 40s or 50s?
40s into 50, I think.
Mike Tyson, 53, looking like that. Did you watch that video online of him training? What do you think on Mike Tyson? Could he do at least an exhibition boxing match against another maybe fairly older dude? I want to pay. I want to pay to watch a Tyson fight. I would. Right.
Now, I'm going to say this. I posted on Facebook and I posted in the Mike Tyson group. I've been cursed. I've been yelled at. I have been called a drug addict. I have been like publicly shamed. I'm just saying we're talking about boxing, and I'm giving my opinion. I honestly think if Mike Tyson put himself through a camp where he was left alone out of the media, went back to the old ways when Rooney and Teddy Atlas, and he was training solely, no outside interference. Mike Tyson can beat Anthony Joshua for the heavyweight title. No questions about it, because Tyson can go to the body like nobody before. Joshua has a suspect chin. He's been knocked out by Anthony Ruiz, where he lost the title and he took it lightly. And if anybody is going to fight Mike Tyson, Virtue, guarantee this. They are going to train for the fight of their lives. They are going to come out of this saying, I beat Mike Tyson. You beat a 53-year-old Mike Tyson, not a Mike Tyson in his prime. Because when you look back at Mike Tyson in his prime, there was not one person who could touch him today. And I hope he goes through with these exhibitions and it becomes bigger, because it will blow out any box office Mayweather did, anything McGregor did, anything Lesnar ever did. He will be the biggest draw in fight history. Mark my words.
Dude, I want to see it. Like I said, heavyweight title match, even better. I would just like to see him box. I don't care against who. Put that match out there. People would pay to see Mike Tyson. Now, speaking of heavyweights, Nia Jax. Look, I always tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe not being the best worker, looking green, being a bigger woman in an era of the models, or you know what I mean.
Right, I got you.
But then she starts TikToking, and she wants to be glamorous and pretty, but her character is supposed to be this, awesome Kong type character. And you called her out recently. Well, we called her out on the show, specifically you, saying, stop doing this. Stop TikToking Nia Jax and ruining your character. It's one thing when we see these real relationships of wrestlers on Twitter, and then we're supposed to take them seriously on TV. Right. What's your take on Nia Jax, who's been awfully quiet in the past week or 10 days?
Here it is, guys. I called her out on this, and evidently it hit the dirt sheets. The dirt sheets listened to Big Vito, and the dirt sheets report to the WWE. The WWE told her to shut it down. I guarantee you it. She has not posted on Twitter. She has been keeping to her own private TikTok and keeping it on TikTok. She has not been outspoken on Twitter. She has shut it down. And the TikTok she's been putting, she put one where I think when she was at home, and then she put wrestling TikToks. Good cover up. Thank you, WWE, for listening to my take on Nia Jax on exposing herself and the wrestling business, because if you're going to be on TikTok, there's no need for you to be in a wrestling ring not practicing your craft.
Unless your gimmick was a master TikToker, hip-hop, bebop type person, I get it. But you're supposed to be this mean, serious monster in wrestling. And I just hate that crossover that they try to get themselves over beyond wrestling. I don't know. Some people think that's a good thing because wrestling's not forever. But I don't know. I can't believe them. I can't suspend my disbelief when I see some of the things these wrestlers do on social media.
But Virtue, what I said was right, and I called her out. She was hurting people again. She's putting TikTok. She was more interested in putting her TikTok over than her wrestling and concentrate on.
She should train.
Okay, so now she's putting TikTok wrestling gifts up. Hey, that's great. But it still doesn't take away. Cut out social media. You have a chance to win Money in the Bank tonight. You have a chance to do great things in wrestling. Concentrate on your craft. Be the all-time greatest. I'd like to see you hit heights that nobody else has seen, because you have all the potential and all the tools. You have the resources. Use them. Stop trying to be a social media darling. Go.
Yeah, and during her, as we're recording this, the Money in the Bank matches at WWE headquarters have not happened yet. Hopefully Nia doesn't get distracted in the cafeteria. But I like I said, I'll give Nia the benefit of the doubt if she starts playing the game like she's supposed to. Let's go to Tom Segura. He's a comedian. Okay? Comedian. Now, you remember comedians in the 80s. Dice, Carlin. Yeah. They said whatever. They didn't care if they offended people. Eddie Murphy. That's just what comedy was.
Right.
So today, I feel bad for comedians. So he called wrestling fans, and I popped for this. Effing, hell, I can say it, fucking retards. Okay, that's what Tom Segura called today's wrestling fans. If you watch wrestling, you're a fucking retard. That's what he said. He's a comedian. Laugh, forget it. What's this outrage for? Vito, what's your thoughts on a comedian like this? I'm just so old school. I think comedians should be able to say whatever the fuck they want because that's what I grew up with. The Dice Clays of the world, the George Carlins of the world.
I'll take this one step further. Okay, we all know who Andrew Dice Clay is. Okay, probably one of the greatest comedians that had the greatest runs ever. The one thing he never did was challenge sports figures. Okay, meaning he never mocked another sport. He always hung with the athletes. He never tried to mesh with them. Tried to insult them. Now, when you say something like this, what does this bring you back to? Immediately, Andy Kaufman. Okay? When you think about it, Andy Kaufman was a prankster, a jokester, a comedian on Saturday Night Live. And he thought he was being funny by saying, oh, yeah, wrestling's fake, this and that, the other thing. Well, he got his neck broken. And then he became popular for getting his neck broken. He went on to do other things. But if you're looking to angle yourself to be that guy, just stop. Because we have somebody who paid the price for walking into wrestling when he had no business doing. That's David Arquette, who we all like, okay? But we also respect because he went back and said, I didn't deserve that title. I want to be recognized and respected by the boys. He went, he trained, he learned how to wrestle, and from what you tell me, Virtue, he's pretty good at it. We've had him on our show, and you know what? He now respects the wrestling business. So if you're looking to make that quick pop or say, oh, yeah, I think this is it. And my friend, wrestling is on a decline. The ratings are sinking. Everything is going in the toilet. For you to come on board now, save yourself the spare change that you might make. Don't humiliate yourself because you know what? Wrestlers are a little frisky because they ain't making money. To slap you in the teeth, you could say, okay, you could sue me, but sue me for what? I ain't making no money. I ain't got nothing. So go ahead and sue me all day. Go ahead, Bruce.
Dude, and from that aspect, I'm with you. I'm on board there. Leave it alone. I just get so pissed at what wrestling fans have become versus what we used to be back in the day. When he took that shot at fans, that's what made me pop. Obviously, I had my uncle who's passed away. He was mentally challenged. So I don't make fun of words like that. But when a comedian says it and they're talking to like the wrestling fans, which have pissed me off recently, I'll let that slide. But I see where you're coming from as well. And it's 2020, Vito. We have to be careful. People can clip your words and take it out of context. And next thing you know, we're bigots, racists. That's another thing I hate.
So say he goes to a wrestling event and he's in a bunch of fans and the fans say, oh, there's the guy who said wrestling fans are retarded. Let's just say one guy ain't going to take a crack at him.
Yeah.
And then you've got a whole mass riot and everybody's kicking the shit out of you. What do? Are you that tough?
That's wrestling fans like when you were in ECW and those type of fans. Fans today, dude, I was in Chicago and I didn't do anything like that, but I was at Money in the Bank with Aaron and I was chanting for Jinder and Roman and Chicago, CM Punk's territory. I didn't feel threatened at all with today's fans. I was having a good time drinking. Nobody made me feel threatened. But again, that's a good point. But back in the day, you're right. Oh, he would have got blasted by the real fans of wrestling.
By the real fans of wrestling.
That went away. Yeah.
Walk into an ECW arena and say you're retarded.
Oh, I'd like to see Disco walk into an ECW arena and say that.
Oh man, poor Disco, huh? Did he get lambasted last week?
Yeah, because he didn't even come back. Disco never likes to be silenced, and he was silenced. And I know he heard the show last week or the clips. So I think you got your point across, Vito.
Good. All right, let's move on.
Now, speaking of this, WrestleMania 10, Little Richard sang "America the Beautiful." So Vince McMahon likes to bring in people, celebrity singers. They become part of WrestleMania history. Just by that alone, they become a little part of the wrestling business. I don't know if you were such a huge Little Richard fan. His music, like Stevie Wonder, that whole era, I dig all that stuff. When I think of Little Richard, I think of Mark Merrow, Johnny B. Bad's character, which was in the same vein of that
Yes, sir.
flamboyant type of character. And I think of that. So, any thoughts on Little Richard? Did he hit a chord with you, anything, or is it just like a celebrity, another
I
celebrity passing to you?
I think that he was a great entertainer, and the one clip I did see today, and I think I was there for it, was him and Ernest the Cat Miller doing a shuffle because Ernest the Cat Miller was a big Little Richard fan. So and hey, listen, he was a great entertainer. He got a couple, paydays from wrestling, but I mean, when you talk about it, I mean, he was, you know, he was the man of his era. He did it. He had a great career. My condolences to the family. But when it comes to wrestling and Little Richard, passing through, passing through.
But you know what it did do? Like, rest in peace, obviously. It made me want to. I went back and watched some old Mark Merrow, Johnny B. Bad matches. Did you ever work Mark Merrow, Johnny B. Bad? Anything I can go watch?
Want to know what's funny is I never worked Mark Merrow, and when he was married to Sable and they had their little girl, I was actually friends with Mark Merrow, Sable, and his wife, and his little girl, and this was in WCW, and we were friends, so I do know Mark very well, and nice family man, good family, good stuff. It is what it is today, but I'll have nothing but great things to say about him.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, he helped get Sable over back during the Attitude Era. All right, let's go to this. I think I don't know how we're gonna clash here. Alberto Del Rio, he's had quite a bit of issues the last several
Oh,
years.
God.
He can't even find work. He no shows events. The whole scenario with Paige. He just recently got accused allegedly of sexual misconduct with another female. Now, I don't know if he has any felonies. I don't know if he has any actual misdemeanors, anything. He is in the news a lot the last couple of years for the wrong reasons. But so it's twofold. The guy definitely needs some help, okay? But also, too, the internet people need to stop being the judge, jury, and executioner. And I get it. They see news like this, they're going to comment because it's especially wrestling fans. But is it still innocent until proven guilty? We've talked about this with Enzo, with Velveteen Dream. I just want to give a guy a benefit of the doubt. Like if he was convicted of doing these things and was charged, we would be on here basically saying, dude, go get some help. You have problems. And I think he does have problems. But with you being in the business, is he drinking a lot? What do you think? Is it drugs? What do you think? Why is he getting into all this negative publicity? Like, what's your take as a wrestler about Alberto Del Rio? Because it's now multiple occasions. But I stress the fact, still innocent until proven guilty.
Just like Velveteen Dream, give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Wrong place, wrong time. Now, we haven't heard a peep on whether he did it, he didn't do it. Jury is still out. Is he under investigation? Did it die out? What's going on? I think James Ellsworth was accused.
James Ellsworth, yeah, he was of something.
Right?
Sexting or something like that, I think.
Right. And then of course, the Enzo thing.
Yep.
So now you hear, those are like the three updated versions. Now you have Alberto Del Rio. Okay. We will not condemn him. It's very sad that he got arrested. He's in a bad situation where they say allegedly he did XYZ. They said previously he did this to Paige and he did this to other women. We don't know because we were not there. The only person who would know would be Paige because she went through it. Paige's life turned 150 degrees around because she got away from him, and now she's sitting at the top again where she rightfully belongs. Her life is stable. She looks good. I think she has a boyfriend. I'm not sure. She got engaged or something. But it's part of growing up. Alberto Del Rio is on the other side of 42. He just fought Tito Ortiz in Las Americas. He supposedly was going to sign with the WWE, but obviously that got pulled back for some reason. And if I was WWE and we're going to have Paige making money and Alberto Del Rio coming in for the fourth time, I would say stick with Paige. So they turned it down. I haven't seen Alberto Del Rio go to AEW or any place else for that matter. He's been kind of stagnant. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt until proven guilty, just like we did Velveteen Dream and everybody else. Okay. I believe he did get arrested. He's up on charges. But, like I said, people, can't throw stones at his house. You don't know. Maybe he was set up. Maybe it was a false arrest. Maybe somebody accused him of something. Maybe he broke up with a girl. She was bitter. There's a lot of things that could happen. Let's not throw him under the bus. I hope that it's not the case. And the horrible things I read, I hope it's all fabrication. He's cleared. He can go live his life nice and peaceful and stay out of the limelight.
Yeah, and I hope if he does need help, he gets it. I mean, I thought he was a very serviceable heel. I'm not saying he was a big draw, but it's just sad to see you watch a guy on television get to the top, be in big matches at WrestleMania, and then you just see this stuff. I mean, maybe so goes the business, so goes being famous. I don't know. Maybe just hanging around the wrong crowd, but hopefully he gets his act together. Now, before we go to our main event, which tonight I want to talk about Chris Jericho. We're gonna pick Chris Jericho's recent comments about himself over because he's the master worker and some of the recent stuff in AEW. But before we get to that, we have another bone to pick.
Yes.
I do this show called The Great No DQ Debate once in a while where someone will come on and debate me over a topic. Boy, it's like pulling Aaron's teeth trying to get him to set this up. I even have a person ready to debate me. And you trying to come back over to do some stuff with us too. Anything you want to say, because we all know what happened last week with you cutting promos on people. The floor is yours on one, Aaron Rift. Now, I love Aaron Rift, but he's got a woman in his life now. And it's like everything else comes second fiddle, and all he does is his normal routine. Let's do a show after Raw, AEW and NXT and SmackDown and pay-per-views, and our No DQ review on Thursday nights. And anytime change is brought in there, it's like, does he hear us? So the floor is yours on one Aaron Rift.
So when we were doing No DQ, we probably had one of the hottest wrestling shows going on. We had a good setup, right?
Views. Yep, 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 views every week.
Every week. That was better than some house shows.
And now, before you continue, we flatline around 2,000. I had to make last week's show about Roman Reigns and put the thumbnail and feature Roman Reigns just to bump up a little bit, which we did. Like, that's the type of work I have to do to get views as the clickbait.
So, guys, we have been in negotiations with Aaron Rift. Now, Aaron Rift at one time was part of the He-Man Woman Haters Club. He didn't like girls. No DQ was his life. Yes, Divorce Club. He was selling beach balls. He was selling beanies. He was with the guys. He was having pizza. He was going to WrestleMania. He was footing the bill for the fellas. And then he met a girl. A girl. And what happens when you meet a girl? You forget your guy. Remember this song, guys. When a man loves a woman, you already know what happens, right? Yes. The woman, you never see no wrong. He forgot about his boys here. When we were hugging him, yeah, the bitch left me. All right, come here, brother. All right, we're good, man. All right, no DQ, no DQ one. And we were doing the Shield bump before the Shield were doing the Shield bump. With all the fists in the middle, everybody there, I mean, it was our thing. Now, all right, people in the No DQ have been asking and begging and pleading for me to come back. So I said, all right, let's work it out. I worked it out with Virtue here. I said, all right, let's do this. All right. So trying to get Aaron Rift to commit and change his ways, but he's so into his love life, his mother-in-law, being with.
And they're nice people. I mean, like seriously,
no.
I'm gonna, yeah, and we're giving Aaron a hard time, but we're not disrespecting the people in his life now.
Not at all. I mean, he's washing dishes at the mother-in-law's. He's vacuuming. He walks in. They say, "Give me." He's vacuuming as soon as he walks in the house. I mean, he's trying to, fit in. I mean, but Jesus, give it a rest, dog. All right. But when you're letting your product hit the lows, it's like the WWE was up to 3.5. They're under 2 million. You got to bring back the good old boys. Okay.
Is that why is there too much wrestling opinion content online now? And is wrestling ratings tanking so bad? Is that part of the factor too, not just because Vito's not on there, but like I'm asking you as a journalist, I got to throw that out there too. Is that also hurting some numbers? No DQ's been around since the Attitude Era, man.
I will say this. Did you notice that everybody's is a podcast and everybody's a journalist? And ain't nobody got no experience, but they're all podcasters because they all think they could do it better than the guys who are professional. And what's even better is the guys who actually think, who sit home, I could write the show better than Vince. I need to talk to Vince. You know, I didn't know you on first name basis with Vince McMahon. You can call him Vince.
I do VKM, but that's just his initials for his full name. I like to go VKM.
Right. So with all these guys out there and everybody doing a podcast because they know wrestling, and you're sitting there in your basement or your mom's living room or sitting there like, you know, come on, God, come on. Is there too much content out there? Yes. Is social media killing the wrestling business? Yes. Tonight they have Money in the Bank. Is it worth watching? I don't know. WrestleMania? I don't know. Throwing somebody off the Titan Towers, God forbid something happens. They're taking risks. They're doing stuff. But guys, you know, the wrestling business as a whole, it is going down the tubes. And when the WWE is not cracking 2 million, there's something wrong.
Can there be now WWE being in this era of no one star is bigger than the WWE? It's almost like John Cena was the last one, and they've even held Roman Reigns back, Braun Strowman. Maybe that some of it's their own doing, but do you think there can be these big stars again? So you know, I keep hearing the wrestling fans say, "Oh, Keith Lee could be this big star pushed right, Killer Cross." I haven't seen enough of these guys. You, as a former professional wrestler, can John Cena type emerge again? I want to say Austin and Rock, but I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Guys,
because that's what wrestling needs.
Yeah, but you want to know what the problem is that a lot of these guys are young kids and they don't look like men. They don't stand out. I'll give you a guy, I'm going to throw a name out there, okay? And he looked like a man. I'll throw out Magnum TA. Everybody knows Magnum TA. Had the hair, he had the mustache, you know, he had the look. Went in there, he looked like a wrestler, right? When you talk about those type of guys, then you look into, you know, the Andersons. Yeah, Ole and on. They look like men. You know, they look like truck driving men who can kick the shit out of you, right? Wahoo McDaniel. You talk about them when you move through the ranks. Where are the Lex Lugers? You know, body. Where are the Sid Viciouses, Sid Justice? Where are the Steiner brothers? Where are the Legion of Dooms? Where are these guys who are big monsters who look the part? When you look at wrestling today, it's too pretty and it looks too cookie cutter, right? Where would the Moondogs fit in today's wrestling world? Where would they fit in? Where would the Wild Samoans fit in? Would it be believable that Ricochet and Alexander can beat the Wild Samoans?
No.
Come on. When the Moondogs were eating raw chicken on WOR TV at 12 o'clock at night, and they're eating raw meat with Captain Lou Albano, right? Spiros Arion, Big John Studd, King Kong Bundy, right? The Macho Man, a Ricky Steamboat. I'll even throw in the Fabulous Freebirds, the Rock and Roll Express. They look like wrestlers.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then if you really want to get Buzz Sawyer, a Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you want to get rugged. Those are probably two of the most rugged guys you'll look at, right? Where are these guys today? A Razor Ramon, a Kevin Nash, a Goldberg. There ain't no more Goldberg.
Well, today's fans, they're like, oh, those guys are horrible workers. Kevin Nash had 5 moves. Ultimate Warrior, what a head case. That guy sucked in the ring. But he drew, right? He drew. I mean, yeah, sure. We wish some of those guys in the past would have learned the craft a little bit more, but they got the sports entertainment side of it down pat. That's how they got their spot.
Where's the next Undertaker? They had a couple guys who they could have pushed to be the next Undertaker. They didn't, right? You talk about the next Hulk Hogan. There will never be another Hulk Hogan. There will never be another Ric Flair. So where do you go with these guys? You know, John Cena, for whatever everybody says about him, right? He carried the business for a decade. He did, whether he was good or bad or shitty.
Dude, I
You know,
used to hate him, Vito. Just in spite of them pushing him all the time. And as I got into this more and more and was learning and respecting the business, I was like, why in the fuck am I hating John Cena? He's doing what needs to be done.
right?
And now I look back at it like I use John Cena as a reference a lot now.
Yeah, I mean, is he the great? And then, when people compare John Cena, is he the greatest of all time? Absolutely not. Is he up there with the greats? I don't know. I would say Hogan, Macho, Flair. Uh, when you talk about the greats of wrestling, Hogan, Macho, Flair, those are three names that stick out with you. Then you come to Mr. Perfect. You talk a ravishing Rick Rude, a British Bulldog, Bret Hart.
Yep.
Who would you put on, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock? I didn't even mention The Rock or Stone Cold. And you talk about.
Did you even say Bruno?
No, I didn't even say Bruno Sammartino, guys. Or a Pedro Morales, or Stan the Man Stasiak, or Don Leo Jonathan, or S.D. Jones, or, like Tony Atlas, Rocky Johnson who just passed. You talk about these guys who look the part. When you look at a young Rocky Johnson or a young Tony Atlas, did you happen to see the kind of body that Tony Atlas had? You were like, he was ahead of his time. Superstar Billy Graham, another one, ahead of his time. But Superstar Billy Graham, he looked like a man. Ken Patera looked like a man. If you put those guys in the ring with these kids today, why do you think Billy Gunn sits in the back? He looks too believable.
That's a good point. Would you say it's safe to say that Hogan was influenced by Billy Graham's looks? Dude kind of had some similarities.
Hogan was influenced by Austin Idol in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where Hogan got the gimmick from. True story, no lie. Got her straight from the horse's mouth. Jerry Lawler, Austin Idol himself. When I did the Memphis Memory shows in 1995, I said, "You look just like Hulk Hogan." He says, "Hulk Hogan got the gimmick from me because it started here in Memphis." Because
I didn't even know that. And if I did, then.
But if you look at Memphis history, guys, when I was wrestling in Memphis, right? You talk about the first Memphis Memory show. Now, believe me, I'm a New York guy. I don't know anything about Southern wrestling. Where did Coco Beware come from? He was Stagger Lee. Where did the Rock and Roll Express come from? Where did everybody go through Memphis? Why is Jerry the King Lawler Jerry the King Lawler? Because he beat everybody in town.
Yep.
And that's not even talking about the Gilbert.
Was Savage in Memphis too?
Who? Yeah. Randy Savage. Yeah. Randy Savage came through. Jimmy Hart was in downtown Bruno. Bruno Lawler was down there. You're talking about all the great. The Undertaker was down there. Isaac Yankems was down there. Where do you think these guys came from?
Yep.
These guys came from Memphis.
And you're talking like just the best of the best. And, you're segueing perfectly into this main event tonight where, is this a gimmick? Is this Chris Jericho working the fans? A decade ago, he said he was the best in the world at what he does, even before CM Punk did. Right. 10 years later, still doing his thing, right? And he's worked Japan. He's working All Elite Wrestling. He was a champion. Now he doesn't work the road schedule that he used to because he's older and he's smart. But he feels confident enough in his abilities to publicly say, I truly believe, and again, this is where you got to dissect this, Vito, and tell me, is this good old Chris Jericho one of the best workers of all time? Or does he truly believe this? He said he's the best in the world, the best professional wrestler today. Hey, I'm number one. I know they do these magazine polls and, top 500 and who cares. He is claiming it, almost 50 years old, that he's the best in the world today. I want to know, is this working just to get a heel buzz, leader of the inner circle? Or is this Chris Jericho basically looking at today's wrestling and saying, God, I'm still the best because nobody else has taken my spot. I haven't had a torch to pass. What do you think?
Chris Jericho is the best wrestler today. When he left WWE and he went to Japan, they all said, no, I don't know. Turned in 5-star matches, right? wrestled the man, Kenny Omega, who was turning in 5-star matches, went over there. Now, Chris Jericho might not be as athletic as he was back in the day, but he paced himself and counted his bumps to where they meant something. He made the other guy do the work while he took the bumps, so he didn't kill himself.
Dude, time out real quick. I will give you a perfect example. I don't know if you watched Dynamite this week, the golf cart with Matt Hardy.
Right.
Jericho took the easy bump, right? Just barely touched the moving golf cart and just kind of skidded out of the way. Sammy Guevara, the younger guy, took the big bump.
Right.
And so I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's perfect Jericho. Jericho broke the ice, but he's like, hey, it's not my time to take these sick bumps anymore. And that I just wanted to mention that because as you were saying that, it's that smart. He's being smart. He's working smart and safe.
So he goes over to Japan. He makes $1 million a match, right? That's what the rumor is. He draws in Japan. He wins the heavyweight title.
The IWGP Intercontinental, which is right up there, like the World Heavyweight title.
Like the world title, right? Comes back. He's the main attraction in AEW.
And he wins their world title.
He becomes champion, right? He gives the rub to all these young guys and lets them be a part of it. He lets them kick the crap out of him. That's what you're supposed to do. And like Scott Hall said to Chris Jericho and all the guys, if we don't let them play with us, we will not make any stars. And what is Jericho making? Sammy Guevara is not the best worker. He's a young kid, but he's making a name for himself because he's hanging around with Jericho. He's taking the big bump. I see it.
Yep.
Right? He's doing what he needs to. Right? When you look at Jon Moxley, okay, he's there, but he's not at that over-the-top elite Jericho level. You look at anybody else on the roster, are they there? There ain't nobody there. They all said Kenny Omega this, Kenny Omega in Japan, he's the man. Kenny Omega in the States, he's very vanilla. He's got no flavor. He's just nothing. I got no love for him here. Japan, I got all the love in the world. Vanilla. There is nobody in the world right now better than Chris Jericho. And then once this gimmick and his weight gain for the character goes away, and he says, that's it, cutting the hair, going to shred back down, and then I'm going to be Chris Jericho again.
You know, he kind of said, I kind of gained the 20, 30 pounds, and I wanted to look this way because that's the gimmick I was playing. Almost like his gimmick is an aging rock star that's tough as balls. And that's brilliant. It's like what actors do for movies.
So he does this. He carries it. Right now, he's carrying the company. Who do you want to see cut a promo? What time do you turn it on? 9 o'clock because you know Jericho's on. If there's anybody on that I want to watch a Jericho segment. I want to watch a Jericho promo. I'm not interested in nobody else in that AEW. Not a soul. No disrespect to nobody, but nobody has caught my attention like that. Jon Moxley, right, he's a heavyweight champion, but they're throwing him guys right now. They got Lance Hoyt with the Jake the Snake, which I missed it, but I saw the replay of him laying the snake over Brandy Rhodes. You know, I mean, cool stuff. But when you talk about the ultimate of the best, Chris Jericho wins it hands down.
Yeah, and look, there will be people that will say, oh, it's a pretty bold claim for a guy that's in a company that can't even draw 1 million viewers. You know, and so it's immediately people have to say, you know, compare people to Hogan and Austin and Rock. I don't think Jericho said I'm the best draw. He just said he's the best professional wrestler today, which is a broad category. Promos, in-ring work, working safe. You know, and it's weird because you have fans that will shoot something down like that. I just like the confidence. Like whether he was working us and he didn't really think that or not, him saying that is perfect in the situation he's currently in his career. He's got the group. He's the veteran heel leader in AEW, and I think it's great. And he got us talking about him in the main event.
Yeah, but
I go back watching Jericho back to the mid '90s. You know what I mean? So it's been a long time.
Guys, let me ask you a question. If the Rock and Roll Express had the platform Jericho had, would they be considered the best tag team in the world because they're still working, they're still over, and they're still the Rock and Roll Express? Would you say they're better than the Usos? Would you say they're right now the Usos the only? Would you say they're better than the New Day? Would you say they're better? I hate the Street Profits. I don't like I don't like their gimmick. I don't like their wrestling. They're
Yeah.
too flippy and unbelievable, right? But are they better as the Street Profits better than Rock and Roll Express? Could the Rock and Roll Express be heavyweight champs again? I think so. But where do they fit in today's world? They're over at NWA, right? Could they came over for a few spot shows at AEW? Could they run down here with Jake the Snake and Dallas Page and they got
I
Billy
think they
Gunn?
were doing some work in NWA.
Yeah, and they got Billy Gunn sitting in the back. And I think if they unleash Billy Gunn, if you haven't seen pictures of him, he's ripped to shreds and looking like $1,000,000. Could he outwork? And he's the biggest guy in the company. Why isn't he the heavyweight champion?
Dude,
Age
no,
doesn't matter, guys. It's
yeah.
just who they want to push and how you do it and how you work the politics.
Now, interestingly enough, Jericho coming out and saying this, boy, what a better time now to bring in CM Punk. If and it's all depending on if he ever wants to return to wrestling. But I always thought this whole thing, AEW was going to try to be a rival to WWE, and they were banking on CM Punk coming back in that buzz. This guy clearly doesn't have any interest in wrestling, or he would have came back from now. But you still, like you can attest to this, never say never in the wrestling business. But like to me, Jericho saying that, wow, what Tony Khan, start throwing some money at CM Punk. Even if you're only going to give him like a few matches, he wants this much money to do a couple matches. Work one of them with Jericho on your biggest pay-per-view. I'm sold. They've worked together in the past. They know each other. Jericho could help Punk ring rust. You know what I mean. Am I marking out too much?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah, go.
With the way CM Punk is doing it backstage and the way
He's still doing that?
Yeah, he was still on. I don't see. I think the buzz for CM Punk to come back is gone because he exposed himself on the backstage. You're going to come back. You're going to be on wrestling. You're going to be on the main stage, hyping your return, not go on like a talk show and sit there and say, well, if I had this. Because you know what? The buzz is gone. You've already been seen. The people saw you. They saw what you're about. They saw your verbiage. They saw what you're about.
I think I agree with you to a point. I think they could save it. I think he could save it, but he would have to. It'd have to be in front of the right crowd, like the biggest marks of all marks, the AEW crowd, right, in a big arena. And you would have to, when he appeared, no pipe bomb necessarily, pick somebody up on his shoulders and give him a well-executed GTS, basically telling people, I'm back in the ring. But even then, it wouldn't be as big as it could have been. But I think it could still be saved if done right against the right people.
Yeah,
but that's maybe that's just my fandom kicking in. I don't know.
Where would he fit right now with empty arenas? You don't have the same.
No. It would have to be. It would have to be when. So yeah, but that's it. One last thing. I've seen. Who do you think this anonymous hacker is going to be on SmackDown? Are they even going to reveal it? Like they never revealed the Raw general manager, anonymous. Could it be somebody cool, or is it going to be somebody like Shorty Gable or somebody? Like, what is your take? Because people have been asking me this question.
Honestly, I really don't think it matters because it's going to be irrelevant because they're going to ruin that person. They're going to go for one pay-per-view and done.
Good answer. Dude, great answer. Great show, Vito. We are about at our 45-minute mark. We got there. Anything else you would like to add before we close her up?
No. If people liked last week's show, thank you very much. I know I went a little overboard. There was no disrespect to Vince Russo or Disco or any of the gentlemen I mentioned. It was just good journalism, something that had to be said. All well is good. I thought it was a good show. This week is another good show. I hope you guys are enjoying our material and what we're putting out there. Virtue, close it up.
Dude, you can follow Vito at the Big Vito Brand on Twitter. You can follow me at NoDQ_Virtue. You can ask us questions, give us topics you'd like us to talk about on future episodes of Getting Color, which is right here on thebigvitobrand.com, on Twitch, on Anchor, anywhere you can get an audio podcast. If you want to watch the video, you got to go to Twitch. But that's it, Vito. I appreciate you sitting here with me shooting shit. Guess what, folks? We will be back next week. So for the Big Vito Brand, I am Virtue. We will see you next time.